Hello everybody, it's Dave from Area Arachnids. We're doing Tarantula Tour Part 1. There's going to be, I can't tell you how many parts. There's 140 tarantulas here to get through. We're not going to be able to see them all, so I'm going to have to catch footage when I can and put it into a file and combine some. We're going to do, I'm not going to do genus by genus, but today I will. We'll also do Brachypelma by genus because I do have quite a few of each of those. We'll probably try and do the Salmopaeus. I don't know because they're not easy to film. They do like to hide quite often. And again, I have my one female pulcher on a sack, and the other one looks like she's preparing to lay. I bet you within the next week would be my guess. Also, Pteranachilus will be a separate video because I have quite a few of those. But we're going to start with Grammostola. And who you see in front of you right now is what in the hobby we refer to as Grammostola porteri. Down in Chile and in South America, the people that are doing the research on them down there refer to these as Grammostola rosea, I guess like central. So they split Chile into 3 different sections. The top section, which would be Grammostola north or the norte, and then you have the Grammostola centra, Grammostola rosea centra, which would be the porteries, and then the Grammostola southern, which would be the rosea, and then they kind of mix in the species mall and species concepcion into all that. But we're not going to get into all that because it's not been, they're not reclassified yet, and they desperately need to. Grammostola, there's a whole bunch of them. Grammostola euathlus, Formictopus, probably Acanthoscuria, Pampabedius. There's just a ton of them that genera that need to get redone, but there's lack of people and lack of funds, so we just work with what we have. So in the hobby right now, these are called porteri. Now porteri are a little browner. They're not, I think they're a little smaller overall size. They're a little bit more of a bulkier tarantula, you know, a little tankier, as I call them, kind of compact. You know, 4 to 5 inches is probably generally the size of what you're going to see at Grammostola porteri or porteri. And roseas are going to be just a little bit bigger, a little bit more streamlined, it seems like to me. And of course the coloration difference. The rosea is going to be a reddish, and these are going to be more of a brownish grayish coloration. Now this one's, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months maybe out of molt. She's been molting roughly every 7 to 9 months, depending. And we're coming through winter, so I would expect a molt sometime this spring from her. She is a female, and you can see she's partaking in water. I just moved her into a new enclosure just this morning, actually. Moved her out of a die-cast display case into the mini football helmet display case. So we're going to move on to the next ones. Though each species will be about 3 minutes or so long. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Grammostolas to show you. Okay, so here's the second Grammostola. This is the Grammostola rosea. Again, I got both of these, the porteri and the rosea, from Fear Not Tarantulas. This is the first time I've had an actual, what we call an hobby rosea. I've never owned one prior to this point. I have had Grammostola species mall, Grammostola species northern or norte. Those both are at Pout Friction Tarantulas with Allie and her little Grammostola collection. I don't believe she had females of those at the time that I sent them to her. And I needed to clear a little bit of space here. I don't regret sending them. I wished I had juveniles of both of those that are same size as these two, about 2.5 inches or so. That would be absolutely ideal to have all these different Grammostolas about the same size and growing them up at the same time. So Grammostola rosea is the more southern part of Chile. They're more reddish with a pinkish carapace, or carapace, however you prefer to say it. So there's not a lot to them, really. I mean, they could be kept cooler. You know, their temperatures there can range from 32 to 77 degrees on average. That's Fahrenheit. So, you know, you don't have to worry about them so much as you do some of the more tropic species of keeping the temperatures up a little bit, keeping their metabolisms up a little bit. They don't need a ton. They don't need to eat a ton. These two have been good eaters so far, all the way through, except for this one. In the beginning, this little spider, from the first time that I got her and she fed, So her first molt, she went 234 days without eating as a tiny sling, at 3/4 inch, half inch, 3/4 inch, some in that area. Very, very long time for a sling not to eat. Now, I did put fruit flies in there. I never saw her eat them. I saw some of them crawl out of little holes, but I never witnessed her eat. I'm not saying that she didn't eat the fruit flies that I put in there. You know, I would put 2 in there, and I just never saw her go for them. But after she molted that time at 234 days, she's consistently eaten every 3 weeks at the most. Or he, sorry, this is a he. The Porteri is a she. Yeah, she's been, or he's been, gosh, I keep saying she. He's been very, very consistent eating now, and has grown at a pretty decent pace, I would say, for a Grammostola. So, yeah, again, there's not much to them. Very dry. Overflow the water dish every now and then. Don't worry about humidity with this genus. Please, just forget about it. It's not all that important. Most of you live in areas that have the humidity that's needed for them, just, you know, externally. You don't need to worry about too much inside their microclimate. So we're going to move on. I think we're going to get the Grammostola pulchra out and see if that one will stay out. I don't know if that one's a male or a female yet. It's out right now, but it generally will dart into its little burrow when I open up the lid. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here is the Grammostola pulchra. Now, there's still, you know, misgivings and misunderstandings about the difference between pulchra and Kyourgi, and which one do we actually have in the hobby. It's more likely that we have probably Kyourgi more than we do have pulchra, but until we have definition, I always keep them what they're sold as and what they were labeled as. And this one was sold as a Grammostola pulchra. This one is very skittish, much more skittish than my last male. Let's see if we can get him back out again, or get her back out again. I'm hoping this is a female. You can see they like to run with their butt in the air, very crazy, just do circles around her log there. Of course, these are from Brazil or Uruguay, depending. Black, beautiful, beautiful black spider. That's why everybody likes them. They are very, very generally calm and docile. They can be handled. They do get a good size. They're not huge spiders, but they get a good bulky black size. I think they look bigger because they're black. They're all black. There's not a lot to break up the patterning. So when you see something that's a solid color, to me, it always seems bigger than what it actually looks like, or what it actually is. So another easy species to keep. They can stand a little bit higher temperatures and probably a little damper. I usually keep this one dry. I have been. I kept my last one dry. Most of you remember him, Norman. He had a bad molt his molt cracked in the middle of molting, so he had lost a leg. We got him through to the next molt. He regenerated the leg and then passed away about a week or 2 after molting, which, again, many people fall into this category where they have a spider that molts, and they're like, oh, everything was great, you know, it was eating and temperatures were good, humidity was good, and the spider molted and then it died. And what did I do wrong? Sometimes you don't do anything wrong. It just so happens that, you know, something happened during the molting process with that spider. There it is right there. That it couldn't recover from. And I know people beat themselves up for it, but you have to remember that not all of these spiders are supposed to survive to adulthood. They just don't. Now, I think we try to do our best in captivity to get them that far, but we're not always successful. And unfortunately, Norman didn't make it through. I bought Norman as an 1.5 inch specimen, unsexed. Found out pretty quickly it was a male. They're very easy to ventrally sex. They do have a black triangle of Epiandros fusiliae, or the male, the small spinnerets that they use to make their sperm webs from. So it was very easy to tell right after that first molt. Bullet's out. I'll show you Bullet here in a second. If anybody, you guys have watched my videos before, I think I've actually only had her in a video once when we first got her. But my Theraphosa blondie, she needs a new house because her home keeps generating mushrooms. No matter what I've done, it's got a lot of fungus on it, and she was actually out of her burrow and covered it up. I saw her this morning and I didn't like that. It's almost like a cue to you that something's not wrong. She has some little white spots on her. I'm sure that's just some fungus that was inside the enclosure. So we're going to dry her out a little bit, put her in a different enclosure, and I'm just going to wet down one side. We're going to give her something much bigger than what she was in. Yeah, here she is right here. I'll just show you real quick since there she is. You can't tell because you could see those little white spots like right above the abdomen. As I'm shaking, right above the abdomen. There's a little bit on her legs too. You can see how they're not moving, but the stuff, I didn't like that when I saw it, so I wanted to move her out of the enclosure. Her enclosure does smell kind of fungusy, so we didn't want to leave that in there. So let's move on to these last three because we're taking more time than what I expected on each one. Okay, so this is a side-by-side enclosure that's built specifically this way from Dreamco Plastics. This was from my brother. I think he's got another one of these hiding somewhere. I'll have to bug him a little bit. I do like this. So I have two Grammostola side-by-side. This is the Grammostola grossa, or what we call in the hobby the grossa, which is more likely probably the Iharingi, and the Iharingi is something else. Again, I'm not going to get into the specifics, and I don't want people saying, "Oh, Dave, from your arachnid said this is what it is," and then something come out later. This is just information that, sorry, I'm readjusting here because the camera decided to fall. Information that I got from people that are down in South America and what they're dealing with down there, trying to get these guys situated. Oh, this thing, I need a new one. The joints are wearing out on this tripod. They're not as tight as they used to be. So anyway, type specimens, destroyed information, stuff like that that's been missing. The description papers of these and Iharingi, well, actually the description papers of Iharingi are a little bit different than what we see as an Iharingi, and it's most likely what we said is this right here. But for now, I call these the Grammostola grossa of the hobby form, or what we have in the hobby is Grammostola grossa. I love this little spider. I've been super happy. This is a pelt friction that I got this one from. Super thrilled when I got it. Just absolutely fascinating. I keep changing my mind every time. I'm like, okay, I don't want to get any more spiders because I have too many. And, what do I want to specialize in a little bit more? I love my brachypelmas. I'm never going to get rid of them. And my Grammostolas, I've been having a lot of fun with them lately. There's a couple of faunopelmas I'd like to get. But, then you look at the Lasiodora species and you look at the Acanthoscuria species and the Nandu species, and you're like, you want them all, But I would like to get a couple more of the smaller Grammostolas, juvenile size, species North, species Mall, species Concepcion, those ones that I don't have anymore, would be kind of cool. So I had, and then there's what's the other one, the Anthracisa or something like that. And I think Grammostola alticeps is also another one that's in the hobby. There are a few that I don't have that I wouldn't mind having, but I'm not going to go crazy looking for them because I have so much other stuff going on. All my old worlds, my Pteranachilus, all my baboons. But this is the Grammostola grossa. Again, this is unsexed. I have no idea which one this one is. And I will show you the enclosure here. I'm going to take this light off because I don't think it's really doing anything other than draining its battery. So here's the enclosure. You can see it's specifically built with the divider. Here, two different hatches, and there's the logo, Dreamco Plastics. My brother had these ordered. So this one here, since we're here, there's no sense of stopping, right, is the Grammostola actaeon. This was, I got this from Nisarg. Nisarg. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name. If he watches the video, maybe he can pronounce it for me. He's one of the admins, or was one of the admins at the tarantula community. He had to get rid of his collection because he was going overseas. So I scooped this guy up because, again, these guys get big and nice and strong and bulky. And this one's very flighty. But still, I've had a lot of fun with this one. And these two were just rehoused into these enclosures yesterday. They came from those. I had them in those, and we moved my Sicarius Thomasoides into those out of little baseball cubes. So, yeah, Grammostola actaeon and the Grammostola grossa side by side. I'll put some information up, a little bit about them, just so you guys know exactly where they're from. And common names if I can look them up and figure them out. And hopefully you guys will learn a little bit. Okay, got to hold the camera for this one. Last but not least is my Grammostola pulchripus. So this is a female. She's about 4 inches, I would say. So she's still got about 3 inches of growing to do. She's usually a pretty good eater. Generally eat all the way up to her pre-molt period. And you'll kind of know that she's not interested or she's getting ready to pre-molt because she refuses food. She's probably hungry. She's probably been on 3 weeks of not eating, but again, it's cooler here, so I don't feed as often. Probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite Grammostola species. One of the ones that I definitely will recommend as a great beginner species. They do grow at a decent pace. They're not like snails, not like some of the other Grammostolas that take a little bit longer, or even Brachypelmas and Aphonopelmas. These grow halfway decently. Let's see, I got her as a 1/2-inch sling. Oh boy, that would have been 3.5, maybe 4 years ago, I think. Maybe 3.5 years ago. In a trade. I also got an Ornithoctinae species, Prison de Abuelas, with her, and a Davus penaloris for a mature male Monocentropus belphori. So yeah, again, just an absolute wonderful species. She's kind of a little bigger enclosure. She really doesn't need all this space. She doesn't do much. So we're going to downsize her one size from this. And then I'm going to use this for bullet. We're going to put the Theraposa blondie into this. This will give her a lot of space to live in and grow in, and less rehousing I have to do. Just a little bit more difficult to maintain humidity, so we're going to use quite a bit of vermiculite in the mixture when we put her in here. Yeah, we're going to be moving quite a few spiders. Her, my Stichoplastoris species Nicaragua, a couple of the my Brachypelma homori, vagans, my Leucotyl vagans, probably my Leucotyl albopilosum, into the size, one size smaller than this tub. I think they're 11 quart. I believe they're 11 quart. So there's plenty of room. They'll be perfectly fine, and they'll easier to stack. We'll be moving some of these clear plastic ones out. These are the ones that I get concerned about. See, these longer ones, they're okay, and I like them because they're acrylic, but there's not a lot of space side to side for them. There's a lot of move lengthwise they can go, but these will be about as long as those and square, so they'll be out a little bit farther is what they're going to move into. And she's going to move into one as well. Now there's Bullet, the Theraposa sturmi, which is about maybe a tad bit smaller than what she is. But again, the less I have to move her, the happier I'm going to be. So yeah, so that's going to do it for the first part of my tarantula tour. We will do Brachypelma next. I'm going to gather my Pterodactylus footage because they are so hard to get out and see, and I have quite a few of them in pre-molt. The Marinus Kenya is in pre-molt. Oh no, that one molted, sorry. The Mikumi is in pre-molt. One of the Marinus is in pre-molt. One of the Tetes in pre-molt. My Lugardis in pre-molt. My Zimbabwe shouldn't be. Neither should the other two Tete, the Mozambique. A lot of those wasn't just molted. So yeah, so look forward to those videos in the future. And since I'm home and on quarantine for a couple weeks anyway, probably more like a month, maybe a month and a half. We'll see how this virus goes. Please, everybody, stay safe. Go out as little as possible. I know that some of you still have to go out and face the battle lines, those in the medical field, the police department, you know, those people that are on the front lines, the people that are in the manufacturing plants making these things. Please try and be as safe as you possibly can. We need to protect every person that we can, as many as we can, and we've already lost too many people to this virus, and I think it's just going to be worse in the next couple weeks. I don't think you're going to see a lot of ebb in this for at least a month, maybe two. I hope I'm wrong. I hope by next week we could say, hey, it's eradicated. We figured out a way. I know Pitt think that they found a virus or a vaccine for it, which would be absolutely fascinating and great news if they did. But yeah, so please stay safe and keep coming back to the channel. Bring some more people. The more people I have, the more likely I'll do videos. The more views. I need to get people watching the videos, not just coming and becoming subscribers. I have 3,300 plus subscribers, and I'm only getting about 250 people to watch my videos on average. Over the course of a month or two. That's not a lot. So I'd like to get some more viewers. But yeah, I'm working on a new intro. I'm having problems with the intro because every time I do it, I add music, I add a clip, and I add text, and then it shrinks the video down to the small size. I don't know why. I'm going to talk to some people that are good with video stuff and see if I could just have them resize the video for me. Look, there she's moving. Resize a video for me and get it set up so that we can get a new intro, or we can go back to the old one that Tarantula Cat made for me if I can get that resized. It says it's the right size, but every time I put it on, it's not the right size. So it shrinks all my other videos. So have a great day, stay safe, and for now, we'll see you in the next one. And as always, happy keeping.